Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head up to Småland County here in the south of Sweden, and if I remember correctly this is going to be my very first beer review from there. As far as I know, I've never reviewed anything from up there for some reason. So for this one we are going to go to a little small, very small town called Braås, which is to the north of Växjö, which is one of the bigger cities in Småland, and we're having a taste of my first beer from the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri. So this one is called the Janus and it comes in at 8.5%. It's a double black IPA, a style that you don't see that much of these days, but one I very much enjoy, so very curious about this beer. And as I've always said, when it comes to black IPAs, if they're imperial or double, however you want to describe them, they always tend to have a little bit of caramel and malt base, and it just adds another dimension to the beer. The black IPA is one I've always said it really has to be imperial for you to get the best out of it, so very curious about this beer, and I really do hope that it's a good one. The other thing that I noticed about this one when I actually just picked it up and held it in my hand, I thought this bottle is very small. It's only a 25 centilitre this, and the only other brewery I've seen in Sweden that does this is actually Nynäs Bryggeri, and they tend to do it for their big barley wines, and you know, I think they had a triple IPA and an imperial stout and an imperial porter and things like that. It's very rare actually to find little 25 centilitre bottles. I don't think I've ever seen those anywhere other than Sweden, so yeah, quite an interesting little point there. But yeah, looking forward to this one, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this beer. Particularly interested in this because it's a style that I do quite enjoy. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, like I said. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. And if you are watching in Småland, do let me know the names of some of the other breweries that I can have a look at up there, because I really don't think I've reviewed very much from that county at all. So yeah, to tell you a little bit about the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I mentioned to you, the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri are based in a little town called Braås, which is to the north of Växjö in Småland County, again in the south of Sweden. It's the next county up from Skåne where I live, and Blekinge just over to the east. But the brewery was started in 2014 by a group of 4 friends, although it's now run solely by Stefan Varda and Urban Bergqvist, who homebrewed together for a number of years according to the article that I read. But the brewery is located in an old sawmill, and in 2017 they brewed a total of around 15,000 litres, but they do have plans to upscale that over the next little while. So yeah, both are working part-time at the brewery and they've got main jobs on the side. So Stefan has a background in biotechnology and civil engineering, and he works making glucose wheat syrup at the Lantmännen Repe factory, which is close by. And Urban actually has a background in electrical and software engineering. He used to work as an electrician actually, but he currently works in business development at the Kronoberg plant, which is fairly close to where they are near Växjö as well. But over the next while they do plan to expand their brewery capacity. They want to hire some staff to help them do this, and their first goal, they say, is actually to get a bottling machine, because all of these beers are bottled and labelled by hand. So you know, it must be a pretty kind of you know, a pretty hard job. That I've encountered 1 or 2 breweries that still do that, so you know, hopefully they can get a bottling machine, and that will help them out a lot in terms of time constraints and things like that. But I think, you know, they are obviously, brewery equipment generally I think is quite expensive, and bottling machines are one of the more expensive commodities for a brewery. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website. I was actually quite impressed with their website because it had quite a bit of information there available about the brewery, which isn't always the case for craft breweries. Usually you have to read magazines and things like that, and I did read 1 or 2 articles on this brewery as well though. But yeah, their website was really nice to set up. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, you can follow them on Facebook, and you can also follow them on Instagram as well. These guys had around 7 or 8 different beers when I was looking on the website too, and yeah, so I'm not sure if they did one of these beers last year, but yeah, as I say, it's a style that I'm really interested in. The name Janus for this one apparently comes after, it was one of the eldest against Roman gods, and he had two faces, one that apparently looked forward to the future, and the other one used to look back to the past, and they decided to name this beer after him. So yeah, pretty interesting. Like I said, this one is a double black IPA coming in at 8.5%. So it says on the side here, this is a light ale that is dark. So yeah, it's saying the dark parts of it contrast in harmony. Janus is a black IPA, a nicely tasting beer brewed with a lot of mosaic they've used in this one. It's saying our ale is brewed in small volume with much love, and we think that helps our craft direction. I'm not sure what this word is. Yeah, but basically they put a lot of love into their beer, and it says yeah, Redig Öl from Småland. So basically yeah, good beer from Småland, brewed in small batches by hand in Braås near Växjö in Småland since 2014. Yeah, there's a few of the words on this I've never seen before actually in Swedish, but yeah, nicely presented beer this one. I do need to improve my Swedish though for some of these translations, but yeah, nice looking beer this. So plain bottle cap of course, and as I mentioned, quite a novelty to find one of these little 250ml bottles. I can just about fit my hand all the way around the middle of this, which is quite funny. But yeah, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Very curious to see how this one turns out. So as you can see, a little bit of smoke on the opening, but not too much, and we'll get it out into the glass. I don't think I've ever actually had a black IPA or anything like that that's had mosaic in it. So this will be very, very interesting. I think I had an Imperial Stout where they used mosaic to make it a little bit more fruity, because normally when you put mosaic into a regular IPA, it will give you a nice kind of tangerine, orange and sort of blueberry note, and when you open this beer up straight away you smell those tangerine oranges and some of those blueberries as well. But I'm very curious to see when you mix these kind of hoppy beers, or these nice big high alpha acid hops with dark malts, it really does change the flavour of them completely. So very curious, as I say, to see how this beer turns out. So as you can see, and as you would expect from a black IPA or a double black IPA, it's poured a really nice dark sort of ebony rosewood colour. There's a solid half finger or a third of a finger of a frothy kind of beigey tan head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass and a few little ones heading up towards the head there. If I hold it up to the light, it does have a sort of dark chestnut kind of edge to it. It's almost the same kind of colour as like Coca-Cola or Pepsi Max or something like this. It's got that kind of very dark cola, ebony, rosewoody, slightly chestnutty kind of colour. I've put a lot of descriptors in there, but yeah, nothing overly surprising in terms of appearance from this black IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one. Oh, now the malt base in that is really interesting. So yeah, with this beer, it's interesting because it's got a good little bit of earthy character coming out of it. I don't think the only hop in there is mosaic. I think they'll have used something else in there to kind of match the darker tones of this beer as well. But the malt base, yeah, the malt base in this one's really interesting. You can definitely pick up on those roasted black malts quite a way, but it's almost got a little bit of a kind of charred bread quality to it. It reminds me, you know, if you get a fresh bread roll, I'm not sure if the Swedes have an equivalent to that right enough, but it's like a very, very well fired bread crust. That's the aroma that you get out of this beer kind of straight away. It's got a little bit of that kind of almost carbon aroma to it, but on top of that you get a nice little bit of a sweet chocolate. It's a high cocoa chocolate in this one, you know, sort of 80-90% cocoa for me. There's a little bit of a brown sugary note as well. It's a sort of darker treacly molasses sort of thing, and it has got a kind of roasty-toasty element to it as well, which I think is nice. So yeah, you can definitely get a nice, there's a nice mix of things going on in the malt base of this beer. So take a little bit of time and enjoy it. Yeah, nice roasty-toasty malt base to this one. Yeah, brown, I think that, you know, that well-fired bread crust aroma that I was talking about, that's the thing that really kind of epitomises this beer. I'm very curious to see with this one if it's going to be a slightly sweeter malt-based black IPA, if it's going to lean a little bit more towards the roasty-toasty side of things. Because as I say, a bit of kind of high cocoa chocolate in there, some brown sugars as well. There's maybe a little touch of a brown bready note to this one. But on the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of an earthy quality in there, there's a little bit of a herbal quality, there's a bit of a kind of floral, grassy kind of thing coming out of this one, which you would expect when it's a big high alpha acid hop like Mosaic. I think that's around a 13, 12, 13, maybe even 14% alpha acid hop, this one. And on the fruity side of things, it's quite interesting too. So yeah, definitely some of the, as I said, when you open this beer up, you'll get tangerines from it straight away. Like a little bit of orange, but you're not picking up so much of that in when you actually go in and smell the beer. There's a little bit of the blueberry coming out, and I'm very interested, like I said, to see if these kind of flavours are affected in the aroma. But other than that, you can pick up, there's a little bit of a slightly candied red fruity ester to this one, like a kind of candied strawberry, maybe even a little touch of a fig flavour, fig aroma or something like that too. But yeah, really curious beer, this one, in terms of its aroma. So let's just have a go at this then. Very curious, as I say, to see how this one turns out. And you know, the artwork on this beer, as I say, very, very nice. The two faces of Janus. But yeah, let's get stuck into this one then. So this one is the Janus, a double black IPA, coming in at 8.5% from the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås, just near Växjö in Småland. As far as I can remember, my first ever beer review from Småland County here in Sweden. So let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Ooh, now that's interesting. First impressions from the first sip. Very smooth beer, nice roasty backbone to it, but it's quite light in its mouthfeel as well for a double black IPA. You know, for a double IPA generally you expect them to be a little bit oily if within this black IPA category, but I'm noticing that it's very to me, it just feels really light in the mouthfeel on the first taste. I'll take a slightly bigger go at it this time. I just wanted a little sip first off. Yeah. That's, you know, that's quite a well done beer, this one. It's, in terms of the black IPA, it's leaning a little bit more towards the kind of roasty-toasty side of things, but that said, you can feel that as your palate adjusts to this one, it really does smooth out the further and further into the flavour that you go. So yeah, let's try and break this down a little bit, and I'll take one more sip, and then we can really talk about this beer. Yeah. That sort of brown sugary malt, the kind of brown sugary aroma that I was talking about with this one, it comes out a little bit in the flavour of this one, but I don't think there's too much of that. I really don't think there's a kind of caramel being added to the malt base in this one. So yeah, let's break this down a little bit. So underneath the whole kind of linchpin of this beer, you can feel that nice roasty-toasty black malt in this one. On top of that, there's a nice little bit of that more kind of smoother brown bready quality to the beer, which is really nice actually. I like how that's going together. I like that it's got this kind of bready smoothness to it. In the middle of your palate, you can definitely pick up, there's a little bit of that nice kind of there's a nice sort of dark chocolatey note in this one, and as I said from the aroma, it's quite a high cocoa chocolate there. There's really not too much in the way of a brown sugar. You can pick up, there's a little bit of a sweet caramel note in the middle of your palate there, but really not too much. I would doubt if they've actually added caramel to this one. I would think that slightly caramelly flavour is more likely to be coming from the booze in this one, because obviously if you've got a higher boozy content in the beer, it will give you a little bit of that kind of slightly caramelly flavour, to be honest. But yeah, the overall as a black IPA, I think this one leans more towards the kind of smoother roasty-toasty side of things. It would be interesting because this is a good one, and it's not too kind of forthright in those kind of roasty side of things. It's smoothed out by the other aspects of the malt base, which I think is nice. But yeah, I like how everything is going together in this beer. It's nicely done. This is one of these beers that's all about how these different flavours kind of go together. It's not overly complex though. It's one of these ones that's just well done actually. So you know, I'll say straight away, it's thumbs up to the guys at Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri. And this one makes me a little bit curious about their other beers. I'll need to try some of their regular IPAs and things and see how I get on with those. Hoppy side of things then. Back corners of the palate, there's a good little bit of earthiness there. It's quite a strong earthiness actually. I wouldn't be surprised if they've maybe used a little bit of an English hop in this one, but I think, you know, it's English and American hops they'll be combining with, because the earthiness is quite powerful in this one. It's always, for me, it's always the English hops that give you such a powerful earthiness, like East Kent Goldings and things like that. Maybe even could be a little bit of a Fugel in here or something like that. But the further forward you come on this, that earthiness just smooths out a little bit. Maybe there's a little touch of herbal quality there. At the front corners of the palate, there's a little bit of a kind of floral aromaticity, and round the very front curve of the tongue, it's a bit lighter and grassy as well. And then when you go behind the front curve of the tongue, it's got that nice juicy that nice sort of oily bubble where those juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And this is where this one gets really interesting. As I say, the first black IPA that I know of, at least, that I've had mosaic in, so yeah. So yeah, there's a little bit of the orangey flavour coming out, but I think that's coming out more and more in the aftertaste. Normally with mosaic, as I said, you get a little bit of a tangerine orange, but it's a sort of there is a little touch of a red fruity note to this one, but for me, if you go right to the tip of the tongue there, it's a sort of blueberry flavour that's coming out of this one, but it's almost got a little bit of a kind of blackberry note in there as well. If you feel that kind of front part of your tongue, for me it's got a little touch of a figgy note to it, but kind of more like a sort of blackberry flavour. Right on the tip it's a little bit of a more blueberryish flavour, and then the further into the aftertaste you go, you get these nice sort of tangerine orangey notes out of this one. It's a little bit like an almost chocolate orange type flavour that you're getting from this beer, but it really does work actually. As I said, the way the flavours in this beer go together is really quite nice. I like what they've done with this one. So yeah, have a go at this beer for yourself if you get the chance. In terms of the black IPAs, leans a little bit more towards the roasty-toasty side of things, but this is a really quite solid beer actually. That it's interesting to see how that mosaic hop behaves in a black IPA, because it's a very, very popular hop for New England IPAs and West Coast IPAs and things like that, but I've never, as far as I can think, I've never seen it used in a black IPA, but it certainly works well, and pretty damn well at that, I would have to say. So yeah, have a go at this beer for yourself and just see what you think. I'm not sure how widely available it is, but you can order this nationwide through Systembolaget here in Sweden. This beer probably hasn't made it out of Sweden right enough so far. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say yeah, mid-bodied beer, towards the bottom end of mid-body though. Like I said, this one's a little bit light in its mouthfeel for a double black IPA for me. The carbonation's very, very smooth. As I say, it's quite a wet mouthfeel, this one. If it was a little bit more oily, I think that would suit this beer. There's just a little bit of a kind of thing with the mouthfeel, but the mouthfeel, of course, is a little bit of a... It doesn't matter all that much. It's more about the flavour profile of the beer, and that's where this beer kind of shines. It does have a really good flavour profile. I think if they put just a little touch of caramel in this one or something, you would get a bit more of an oily quality out of this beer. But yeah, nice hoppy bitterness to this one. If I was betting, I would think this beer, it's somewhere around sort of 60, 70 IBUs. It's somewhere around that kind of mark, I would say, and there's a bit of bitterness in this one, both coming from the malt base and from the hoppy side of things. There's a good bit of bitterness, of earthy bitterness to this one, but you've also got a bit of that roasted black malt bitterness in there too. But yeah, good little bit of hoppy bitterness in there. The malt base has a good balance between smoothness and there's a little touch of sweetness in there, but not too much. And you've also got some nice juicy fruity qualities to this one as well. So it's got everything you would want in terms of the black IPA style. There's not really any real alcohol warmth from this one, but it's 8.5%, so it's not too far into what you would call the double imperial side of things. But yeah, nice juicy fruity notes. And it's just a solid beer, and it makes me curious about what their other ones are like. So let's leave it at that for this, and it's cool to see one of the very small breweries having a go at this style. And this is a style that, you know, has by and large been forgotten about by some of the kind of bigger breweries. I'd love to see like Stigbergets and you know, Stigbergets Hoppy Gourds, you know, Spike Brewing, and these kind of breweries. I'd love to see some of these other Swedish breweries have a go at the Black IPA, because some of the very small breweries are doing some really nice ones in this style category. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this beer then. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this one in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri as well, and let me know some other beers from Småland County as well, and breweries as well that I can have a look at. But yeah, really interesting beer this one, and I'm very glad that I was able to review that for you. So make sure you check out my social media, and I will catch you guys very soon. I'm sure we'll review some more from the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in the near future. So this one was the Janus Double Black IPA, 8.5% from the Kvarnagårdens Bryggeri in Braås, just outside of Växjö in Småland County. Until the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. Skål.